Y'all get sunburned? Do black people get sunburned?
No.
If it's hot enough, yeah.
I've
if
never
it's hot
been.
enough,
y'all
yeah.
do, don't y'all?
Huh?
Do what?
Y'all get sunburned.
I've never been sunburned.
We can sunburn,
Yeah.
but it's a lot harder. It takes a lot more temperature and a lot more.
I think we would have a heat stroke before we got sunburned.
Yeah.
we had to dry up.
I've been sunburned before. It was like once when I was a kid, so it's definitely possible.
Man,
I'm jealous.
Mike's different. I've been fucking
I mean,
damn near a heat stroke. I've had heat exhaustion. I've had everything, but I've never been sunburned.
I mean, dang, we're doing landscaping during recording time. This has never happened.
I know. Are we recording?
Not yet.
We're
about to. I'm trying to wait for.
I know it's raining out there and everything. Give me a second.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah,
it's raining. Why are you out there doing the?
No, I think the rain has stopped.
Yeah.
That's probably why they're trying to do it, because when it rains, it grows even more. So,
Perfect stranger danger will not be seen at this time, in order that we may bring you this good argument for getting inside the free candy van.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mike.
I'm JB.
It's Misty.
and I'm Jab, and you're listening to the Gen X Talk podcast.
Hey, have you guys ever wondered whatever happened to some of the kids that we went to school with? Like some of the kids that it's like at the end of the school year in 4th grade, and in 5th grade, they're just not there. Like we don't know if they moved or what. We just never heard from them again. And then even as adults, we never see them. Like they didn't get on social media. They just kind of disappeared and were gone forever. Have you guys ever had that?
Yeah, I've had a couple people like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever wondered if maybe something happened, like they got in the free candy van and they got trotted away to Tijuana and they've been getting boned by donkeys ever since?
Damn.
Maybe
Never
not
thought
quite
about
like that,
That's,
but yeah.
That's
something to
harsh.
think about now. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
never thought about that.
I hadn't either.
I can see it though.
I always wonder about survivorship bias. It's this deal where back in the days of World War II, they sent 50 bombers out on a bombing run and only 9 of them came back. And when they came back, the engineers looked over the 9 planes and most of them were shot up in the wings. So what they did was they started adding extra armor to the wings of all of their other planes. And the problem with this is that they analyzed the planes that came back and were adding armor to the wings and getting shot in the wings. Obviously, these planes came back. What they needed to do was find out what happened to the planes that didn't come back.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
that's the way I feel sometimes as Gen Xers. We talk about all the stuff we went through and it's like, well, we're okay. Well, you know what? Some of us didn't make it. Some of us weren't okay. Some of us got in the free candy van and were never heard from again.
That's true.
And I kind of wonder, because nowadays we talk about predators, we talk about the pedophiles, we talk about child molesters and all of that. And the conversation when we were kids was never as big as it is now. Like we're a lot more protective now than we used to be.
Right.
And I kind of wonder just how bad was it before and where are we today? Because I don't know if it's as bad now as it was then. Because back then it was a whole lot easier.
Right. I'll start off by saying that I believe it was just as bad then. I just believe now it's talked about more.
I agree.
And you see it more. The actual, I remember kidnapping. My uncle actually wrote a little skit, a movie that he did. It was called Stop Killing Our Children. And he did a gospel song. He was a gospel singer. Shireen, who was on our show, it was her father.
Oh, okay.
And you can probably look it up. He had a song called Stop Killing Our Children. So I know, and I was around 5 or 6. So I know at that point in time, there was a lot of that going on. I can't really remember it, of course, because I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I would assume that, the trafficking is probably bigger now. But just things like, molestation and stuff like that, I think it was big back then. And people I'm talking about like family members and uncles and, things like that, cousins.
Yeah.
I think it happened more then, but it just either wasn't discussed or it wasn't brought to light. Either the mom and parents knew and they said, what goes on in this house stays in this house. Or maybe no one ever told anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And it's
Yeah.
interesting. I would say that my take on all this is there's more people now. You know, population is growing, so more of this is going to happen.
Right.
Number one. Number two, I really feel like the digital world has changed the entire landscape
Exactly.
of how these type of people that are prone to this shit, that are prone to commit a crime of pedophilia,
Right.
they're allowed to have access to the material, the visual material that allows it to stay in their mind more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you have the FBI really cracking down on all this child pornography in general, like state of Texas. They're trying to ban pornography when you can, because they don't want it to manifest even in the young child's mind where they obsess over it when they get older.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so I think in a way, if a child, and I know this is going to be the most controversial thing in this show. I know. I actually agree with it. I really do think.
I do too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it's okay to ban porn
Because we didn't have it back then. You had to pay for it, like tapes. You couldn't just get it, you know.
And I think
I agree.
And what it's doing, yeah, man. And what it's doing is it's grooming the fantasies and taking away the naivety, excuse me, of a younger person so easily. Now I know people go, well, it was always around, but not like this.
It sure wasn't. No,
Right.
it was not around like that, man.
No.
You're right. No.
And then people want to defend it. Well, you know, you can create screeners and verifiers on the website. You know, if you do this, if you do that. My
Man,
God.
it's not.
No.
I have a friend, and they're probably listening. They had a son, and one day he was like 11 or something. They caught him, you know, on his phone some kind of way. He was watching porn, and I was just thinking about, and I even said before that, you know, kids today do this, do that. When we were young, I think we spoke about it before. Like I remember having a Jet magazine, and on page 42, 43, there was a centerfold. It was the Jet Beauty of the Week or of the month.
Oh, yeah.
And she had on a swimsuit, and it was usually a nice looking lady. And I remember thinking that was big shit. You know what I mean? As a kid, this is 11, 12 years old. I remember the Lowrider magazines with the nice, you know, pretty girl on the car. They kept plastic around it. You couldn't really see it that good. You had to be 18 to buy it. But just seeing that was sex to me. And to know that an 11-year-old, he can see some things that we probably haven't even seen a real woman do in person.
Right.
It's a big fucking deal.
Yes.
But I think it's the advancement. And I think it was done on purpose. Because when you start introducing kids to this at a younger age, they're more curious. They're more likely to, a 14 or 15-year-old girl is more likely to get with a grown man when she's seen something like this.
Yeah.
I'm talking about thinking that it's okay, or be curious if that's the correct word.
Yeah, I think it's always been around. And
well, maybe
the internet has just given people access to find other people who are like that.
That too.
But is it really about pornography? Because back when we were
it's
kids,
not just that.
You know, back when we were in high school, this is a point that came up a couple of weeks ago. When we were in high school, most of the girls were already dating grown men.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I know a lot of people who lost their virginity when they were like 12 and 13 years old to people who were over 18.
Yep, I do too.
And that's wild to me.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was happening back then. I think it was happening more back then than now.
But I think when we narrowly agree with what you guys said, I do think, you know, when you narrowly define the word pedophilia, what I'm saying is, if you are allowing a children don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what they're doing even when they're 15. They think they do.
They think they do. Yeah.
Right. When you give them access to porn that easily, just here's your phone. They can find it. Even if there's blockers, believe me, they can get it easily. They're smarter than we are. Fuck. I mean, when it comes to that shit.
Yeah, they are.
That to me is an act of pedophilia. To me, it is. I'm like, I think it is. And I think, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, I've looked at porn. I'll look at that shit every once in a while. I mean, you know, hell, I get, you know, but I need to quit doing it. And I think that if you offer it to someone who's younger, like even in their teens when they're just raging, at that age, we're just bumping off the wall.
It's just like drugs or anything else.
Yes.
It's just like alcohol. You can't drink it till you're 21.
Yes.
I think we would all agree that a 12-year-old shouldn't be drinking alcohol. Whether you agree that alcohol is right or wrong, if it's legal, we believe that a 12-year-old should not be drinking liquor.
And think about what
it's the same thing.
You're so right. And think about what they're seeing. They're going to groom themselves to think that's what women are into, the things they're watching these porn stars do. Is that really the way women think?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
It isn't.
Yeah, and porn sex is not appropriate.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's giving them a false perception
100%.
of what's really going on.
All right. And all this
And
stuff
how
trickles.
women really are.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, look, you guys can feel how you want, but I still support porn.
Really?
I support OnlyFans. If
I'm not against
now,
it.
I'm not going to pay for it, but
You're just cheap.
But I give
my
you the
understanding, it
thumbs
just
up
takes
and
you
I
to that
salute
next
you.
level.
Tell me
Like-
tell me, Mike, from your point of view. I just want to hear you tell us why you think it's okay for porn to be so easily available, or just the way it is. Maybe give us some insight on your thoughts there. I just want to hear you talk about that.
Well, first and foremost, I never said that I think it should be easily available.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, I don't think that people under 18 should be able to have access to it. But there's a lot of things that people under 18 shouldn't have access to at all.
They still do.
And they still do. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if we're going to target that and try to solve that problem, I mean, that can be the first in a series of things that we're restricting.
It's really just a
kids
money
from.
thing with that.
But to me, I feel like, if this is a way that people want to live their lives, make money, if people are into exhibitionism, if people are into doing that, there should be an outlet for them to do it with other adults and live their lives. I feel like a ban on porn is basically a form of censorship. Because if you do it with porn, you can do it with anything. You can say, oh, well, you know what? We should ban guns from TV because kids might watch it and guns are violent. We should ban this, that, and the other. I mean, there's a long list of things, and you just start from one place and you can just keep on going.
But
Right.
porn on the end, porn's not on television. It's not just been broadcasted on television.
Right.
It's on places. It's where they're banning it is different than, you get what I'm saying? Like your gun example. They're banning it from, like, you have to be censored more. I think it's a financial thing. I think they're just going to charge people. I think that the government doesn't like the fact that people are seeing all this entertainment for free, and they're going to get it to where they're going to censor it. You're going to have to show this, and then you're going to have to pay. That's what I really think it's about. It's going to become where they're going to be over it instead of the individual just being able to, slap a video on there.
Right.
That's
Too many of the wrong people are making money, just like marijuana, They don't want Joe Blow on the street to make money off of marijuana, but when these big pharmaceutical companies can get their dispensaries out there, that's when all of a sudden it becomes
Same thing
legal.
with prostitution in Vegas.
But if you do,
prostitution in Vegas the same way.
True.
But it's not illegal now.
If you do keep it out of the eyes of young kids, doesn't it truly help? I mean, does it really help? I mean, think about it.
And not with pedophilia, it doesn't.
It
helps with probably grooming kids at a young age, like maybe keeping them more innocent
But if they have access to it, my question, and I'd like to hear y'all's insight. My question is, if a young kid can just get on his phone and go to whatever.com and see whatever he can see, isn't that a form of the porn media?
Hell yeah.
Giving them a form of pedophilia?
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is.
So you have to find a way to censor it, and the only way you can probably is to ban it.
Ban it. That's it. Yeah, there's no other way because they're too smart. These kids are smart as fuck.
Yeah, that's
They know more than we know about programming shit.
How are you really going to ban it?
Turn it off.
They can still
turn it off.
Just like you can find anything.
No, they can make it where you can't see stuff. They got. I remember during the election, people that were Trump, we couldn't even post nothing about them on Facebook. Like when you go to do it, they can definitely stop some shit. They don't want you to see. They can stop it.
100%.
Just like they stopped one of those sites. They stopped. They said, I don't know what was one of those sites. They stopped it. Like no,
right.
Pornhub.
Which I can see that, but not. You can't get everybody to do that.
Shit.
I mean,
the government can stop. They control all this shit. The hell they can't.
And there's always a workaround.
There's always the dark web that you can go to try to find things.
But they'll
how would you mass?
They'll probably start cracking down on the people that do, or it'll stop a lot. It may not.
Yeah.
There's some people that right.
Well, what's crazy is
they're going to get investigated. It's going to send a red flag.
And the reason I'm even making this commentary about it as we relate it to pedophilia is because a lot of the acts that are performed today, the adults that are doing it to the young kids, are actually in their mid-20s and their 30s. Right. And the number one thing that they're saying, the one thing they're saying is that it's from the grooming of access to pornography when they were children.
I agree.
It's like if you think about it, when you first start watching porn or whatever, it's almost like the gateway drug.
Yeah.
To
other stuff.
Yeah, to other things.
I can see that. There's a woman in Wisconsin elementary school teacher. It's funny, he just said that age. She's 24 years old. She was busted for making out with a 5th grader.
Damn, what school?
It was a school in Wisconsin. I just got a screenshot. I didn't want.
No,
but she 3 months before she's about to get married. And it's a female teacher, and I just want to talk about that a little bit because I noticed when it's males to females, it's like they get locked up. It's bad. But I noticed when it's women to men, people don't. It's bad, but it doesn't get the same type of reaction. If this was a 24-year-old man and he made out with a 5th grade girl, it would be way different.
My God, it'd be different.
But
it would be.
Because wars are waged over that shit. We talked about that.
Yeah,
I wish we had teachers like that when I was a kid.
Hell yeah. I think, the first thing I thought of when you said that? I'm going to be honest. When you said about the Wisconsin woman, I was thinking, I wonder if she's hot. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. It's the first fucking thing I thought of.
When I was in high school, and this is probably, we had a teacher. I don't know if it's okay to say her name. I think it was
No. Let's not say her name.
But one of our teachers, we were like, juniors and seniors, and our teacher was probably like 24. She was young. Nice.
I know exactly what you're talking about, boy.
Everybody wanted her.
Yeah.
All the boys. She came to all the football games.
Yep. Oh, she was hot.
Yeah. I remember. And there used to be like, people would say like, oh, I remember with this student. And I don't think it was true. I think people just spread rumors, but everybody thought it was a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, she was with him. She went. Yeah, I think guys were lying. I think they were making it up. Yeah, but they wanted that. So I hate to believe like now somebody did that and got locked up when those guys, they actually really, really wanted that. They did. I think every boy between 11th and 12th grade at that school at that time liked that woman. Everybody.
But one thing I'll say about young men, one thing about men, I don't know if you agree with this, Mike, or you, this would be interesting to hear your take too, Misty. Okay. As we're younger, that's when we fall in love the most.
Yep.
Once we get our heart broke by a woman, fuck you. It's hard to fall in love again.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, you know what I mean?
Because I was innocent. Like, your thoughts about her were innocent. Like, you were like, oh, I wish I could take her out. Yeah. Some flowers.
The only issue, see, at our age, we're thinking hot teacher.
Like really?
Yeah, at our age now, we're thinking hot teacher. Hell yeah, we'll fuck shit out of her. But back then, the JB back then, I probably would have thought I was in love with her ass.
Yeah, that's what we thought.
I agree with you. So that's what they might be taking away from us the most.
We were a lot more innocent, I think, boys than the girls. The girls were the ones that were, like you say, messing with grown men. And I wasn't doing that kind of stuff.
I wouldn't either.
And I think that the guys, I know from my perspective, I was the good guy and the little nice boy that all the girls wanted to be my friend. They wanted to talk to me on the phone all night but they wanted to fuck this guy, the dope boy, the gang member.
Yep.
And they wanted to talk to me about how they wish he would act like me. Oh. And I think when I got in college, I got sick of that shit. And so I learned to be that other guy. Because that other guy is if even the women now you look at, there's different class of women everywhere. But the majority, they're Charles Fallers, jailbirds, those are the guys they like. And then when they get older, they realize, okay, now they want to come back and get that nice guy. And then that nice guy, he don't want him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He wants to
Missy, tell me why do women like the bad guy? Just give us that first.
I don't know. I think there's just something about pedophiles. Maybe the strongness, I guess, that women think that, I don't know, they can take charge and they got this type thing.
Yeah, he can. He can beat their ass. He can take charge of her, right? He can leave them with a bunch of kids. And then he ain't taking charge of no bills.
Exactly. Yeah.
He ain't taking charge of the house.
But I also think it's like a preference. Okay, so like guys, they view women, okay, she's pretty, she's gorgeous. Mostly guys think they say with their eyes or their other thing. But women have the same thing on what they see as a guy, how they look, their body style,
you mean women wonder why men go for that girl?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's vice
women
versa.
do the same thing.
Women do the same thing.
Yeah, they go about looks.
They have like looks and styles and stuff like that they look for too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like a kind of like a bad boy look.
I still think all that relates to pedophilia because it starts young.
Yeah.
And like people are getting groomed even without.
And it definitely does. Right? And it goes back to maybe being a little bit naive.
Yeah. You're too young to be doing
that. The older gentleman or guy or whoever, it can persuade somebody who's younger is coming into, you know, their womanhood or their, you know.
And he can take them to McDonald's and they're excited about it. Where the other guy,
and let him drive their truck and, you know, all that stuff.
Stuff that a real woman wouldn't probably give a damn about.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so what you're saying is, as a young woman, it's easier to get manipulated by an older man.
I would think so.
Hell
yes. Yeah.
It is.
And I think like a lot of those guys, when they do that, it's also because they can kind of, like you said, groom. They can mold the girl into the type of woman that he wants. And a lot of times
it's the people that you know. You know, it's the friend of your sister. Or, you know, something like that.
Yeah. So you're around them already.
You're already around them. You know them.
Someone close to the family.
So when you were young,
it's either a family or somebody you know, or
when you were young, underage, did you have a thing for an older guy ever?
I did. Yeah.
Did you ever actually do anything physical?
Yeah, I would. I got into the relationship with him. He was a friend of the.
You don't have to tell us who it is and all, but
no. Yeah, he's a friend of the family.
But see that?
And
we don't have to tell us who it is.
We hung out
together. Lock his ass up. See what I'm saying? It's
but I want to hear. I want to hear this.
I was 16.
But you get my point right there.
Yeah.
This is the reason why it goes on. You see, we protect the people, but in certain circumstances, we want them to go to jail.
Tell us about it, though, more.
But then later on, when you're young,
How much older? How much older was he than
16. So I was 16. He was 24.
Okay, so there's an 8-year difference.
Yeah.
And then this person, how did he approach you?
Or did you approach him?
How did it work out? Tell us some detail. I'm curious because this is a good lesson for other people to hear.
It's been so long ago. It's more. I think probably we approach each other because I thought he was cute and hot, and you know all the things that you're going through when you're young and learning about things. So we just kind of approached each other. But then he was more engaging. But he also gave me things in my life that I wasn't given with other things.
Like from a father.
Yeah, like from a father.
Yeah, that's what I see a lot.
You know,
like what?
Being in, you know, my mom was a single mom, and
he
was just able to take up more space in my life, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like he went to my my music. It was my music
recital or whatever.
Recital, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like your mom had to work. He
was like supportive.
So you're saying that it was a father figure type combination with this
almost,
guy?
Almost kind of something
or
like that, but
gap.
more of like
it was a gap being filled. A void that was being filled.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what happens all the time.
And you know, then of course with any relationship, there's always the steps that are, you know, you get closer together, then you move in with each other and stuff like that. And that's why I had mentioned previously where you can, you know, a parent can give verbal permission basically, like to
your mom gave
or
permission of that scenario.
She did.
Yeah. Okay, so it's all legal then,
right?
So it's all legal. Yeah.
See,
but then later on, you learn and realize why that person did things that they did.
Yeah, but look at this though. Think about what we're saying, and then think about what we say on other shows and other topics. And this is the point I always make. Like when we talked about P. Diddy, or we talk about R. Kelly, we want all these people locked up. But then then on the flip side, you're saying that it's okay. It's okay for a child molester to mess with a child if the parent gave permission. That's what it is.
I see what you're saying.
And that's what I've been trying to say forever, is that in this country, people don't care. And that's the problem. They just pick and choose.
That's why girls our age are way more protective.
Right.
Because we know the scenarios. Right. We know what happens.
I get, and I know what happens. But my point in what I'm saying is that as America, we act like we're against certain things, and we act like this is bad, but we allow it all the time. We just pick and choose, and we don't call things what they are.
That's the whole liberal community.
Right.
When she was 16, this motherfucker was 24. He's no different than this teacher. But this teacher, because she's a teacher, she's bad. He was bad. But you're telling us that the mom said it's okay. So basically, Is it okay for kids to go be prostitutes and be in sex trafficking if the parents said it was okay? You get what I'm saying? Because those parents, a lot of parents are okay with that. There's a lot of parents on drugs, mothers especially, and the men don't want them. They want their child. And so the mom allows them to sleep with the child for drugs or for money.
But I think it's also the scenario that, well, not, yeah, I see what you're saying.
If the child's okay with it,
yeah.
She's earning money for the house.
If it's something that's not okay, like, you're doing something against your will, that's not okay.
Yeah, it's not okay. But the thing is, if you're giving the permission to the parent and you're saying it's okay, then you're giving it to the parent. Think about it. It's not okay for him to be with you. You're not old enough to make this decision.
Right.
But because the parent says it's okay, then it's okay. You're not old enough to sell your body or be in sex trafficking. But if the parent says it's okay and you want to do it, then what makes it not okay? You get what I'm saying? We're picking and choosing based on scenarios, and we're wondering, why are we ending up fucked up? Because when you allow, just like with the dressing thing that we talked about. Yeah. At first it was okay. Women were covered. Then it was okay to show a little cleavage. Then it was okay to show a little butt, little crack, a little pants. The pants used to come up to the woman's stomach. Now they're hanging lower. And then it gets to where they're naked, and now people are naked, and now we're having a problem. You can't walk around like this. But look at where it started. It started out with, okay, it's okay if the parent says he can date her.
Right.
But I have a friend who did time for the same thing that you're talking about. He went to prison.
Because here's the problem.
For the same thing.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
And he was only 4 years different.
The problem is the word accountability goes a long way, because in my personal opinion with all this shit, we become such a liberal society that and I know people hate it when I say that. It's fucking true. You're not allowed.
No, it's true.
You're not allowed to punish people. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah,
so you're not. If that 24-year-old guy that hit on you or whatever the fuck it is, if it was illegal and he was going to get castrated or fucking put to jail, he wouldn't do that shit.
He wouldn't have done it. Yeah, he wouldn't have done it.
Exactly.
But here's the problem. Society goes, oh, well, that's just cruel. That's just cruel.
He loves her.
That.
He loves her. She said it was okay.
It's inhumane. Yeah. But then you want to know why? That's how you keep people accountable, is fucking have the right punishment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, you're telling me.
But I mean, every liberal listening to this go, no, it's not right. Well, then who? That's when they start coming into everything's such a contra-fucking-diction. It's like, here, well, wait, why would you censor this and not that? I believe, Mike, not against you, but truthfully, why censorship porn? Because it's common fucking sense.
Yeah.
It's available to kids. That's why.
Yeah, it is bad.
That's why.
It's not
common fucking sense. That's why. Well, it's my rights. Fuck your rights. We're worried about the kids. They don't smart enough to know any better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm telling you, that is the problem with this fucking country.
That's the problem with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we give up punishment.
That's why everybody wants to come here, because we're so liberal.
Yeah, well,
that's why people are moving here.
But the thing
because
is,
they can't do these things in other countries.
But then when it's somebody you don't like, or it's a situation you don't agree with, then you want to enforce it. You get the difference? Like, then you want to. I had a friend who was the same way. He was dating a girl since she was 14 or 13 and he was 16. And then she got older and got older and got older. Then he became like 19 and she was 16 or something like that. Right. And they were having sex. The mother knew, the father didn't. He was a black male and a white female. The father didn't like that. And then he knew like a district attorney or something. Anyway, they end up like, he took it to the max.
Oh yeah.
And this guy at 20 years old and like 135 pounds went to prison as basically like statutory rapist. You know how they get handled in there. Same situation. And he had been with her since this age all the way up.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
it's just fucked up.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
I mean, that makes sense until it makes sense. It's like, that's what I'm saying. Common sense is not in the judicial system.
We pick and choose what we want. And then when later on in life, when people are fucked up due to situations, the first thing you hear them say, well, I was young then. Oh, I was young then. Well, why is this okay when you're young, but then to be held accountable later? You get what I'm saying? Like, you can't use.
When you're young, you need to be scared.
Right. You can't use I was young as an excuse. Yeah. When you do things. I was 20 years old when I bought my first house. I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
I date women that talk about shit they did when they were 20 and say, oh, I was young then. I was fucking buying a house.
Yeah.
You can't tell me it's because you were young. It's because it's what was
your upbringing though? What was your upbringing?
It was probably the same as everybody else's, you know.
What is the same as everybody else?
What I'm saying is I had negative things, positive things,
Did you grow up in a house with a father and a mother?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is,
I didn't.
I made choices, but we still, and I understand that. But what I'm saying is, we still made choices. And when we make choices, we can't say that it was because we were young, because it wasn't because we were young. It's because it's what we wanted to do. Because there's women, there's men that are 20 and do the shit. They do it when they're 30. They do it when they're 35. They do it when they're 40. And then one day they finally get it because they have no other choice. And they say, oh, I was young. All I'm saying is that young is not an excuse when you're an adult to continue having.
Well, when you're an adult
behavior.
and if you haven't changed your ways
Right.
from what you didn't know back then, then that's on you.
I believe that it's a cop out for just certain people and women. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
If a woman, I'm going to say this, you dating a girl and back in the day, she was all this fucked up shit. I don't know, stripper, fuck with girls, just all this fucked up shit,
Okay.
you know? And she says, oh, that was when I was young. I would say you say she should be forgiven. She's a good woman. What'd you say? She doesn't repeat that behavior, right?
Right.
Now let's take a man. We'll take me.
Okay.
And this is definitely not true. I used to let dudes fuck me in the ass when I was 18 and I say, oh, that's when I was young. Every woman is going to say he's a faggot or he's gay today. They're not going to, am I right or wrong?
No, I mean, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? If I molested a kid and I was 18.
You got tendencies. Let's put it that
And I
way.
molested a kid and I was 18. And I
You
said,
got tendencies.
listen, I was young then. I've changed my ways. Are you going to let me babysit
That's
your child?
totally different.
I'm
talking about a heterosexual.
Did you hear what I just said? If a woman has done these things, she fucked one of her homegirls when she was young. She did all this, and she says she was young. It's always an excuse. I've heard it in relationships.
Well,
I've heard it with friendships. But if it's a man, a man always has to be accountable. You sold drugs when you were 19. The judge is not going to say, hey, you were only 19.
Y'all are groomed
He's gonna give you
that
20
way
years.
too. Yeah.
But see, I think the reason for that,
It's called accountability.
I'm going to tell you, it is.
Everybody has to be accountable.
I agree, but
Yes.
I also think the reason for that, because it's a fucking man's world. It's what it is.
But
I
women
know
want to be treated equal.
No, but
when it's
they
not
can't.
men.
They'll never be able to.
Right.
And which is probably a whole other show.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't be treated the same. I think I'll use the word equal. You
Yeah.
can't be treated the same because we're not the same.
Or even equal, really, because we're not equal.
Yeah, no, we're not. And
We want to be.
I agree. But I think that when you talk about your point, which is as a young man, you're held to a higher standard and accountability than a woman.
Hell yeah.
Well, I think we should.
Right.
Because and this is my opinion, because it's a man's world. If we didn't want a woman, listen, if we didn't want the women to dress skimpy, they wouldn't. Promise you. If it was unacceptable in a man's world, it wouldn't happen.
That is true.
I promise you that.
There are guys that want their women to dress a certain way.
If we decide we don't want pedophilia and we're going to chop dicks off, it won't happen again.
Right.
Or it'd be very rare. It'll happen, but less likely.
I think the pedophile community is going to really sneak through all the other stuff, the LBGT and all that. Because
they will like a motherfucker.
It's coming.
Hell
because if you can
yes,
say,
they will.
if I'm a man and I can say, oh, I feel like a woman, and now I can go in the bathroom with you and your daughter.
Yeah.
What happens when the pedophilia says I feel like a child?
Right.
I
wouldn't feel.
But in my mind,
I
I still feel like a kid. I still want to play on the playground, and I don't want to be an adult. I want to be a child.
What do you think, Mike? Let's hear from you.
I didn't sign up for this.
Mike just in there looking
Yeah,
off.
what's
I want to hear an opinion.
I'm just listening. Well, first of all, with what Jab said, and I think I might have mentioned this before, I think there's a hard line that people are not going to allow to cross because a lot of what we hear, it comes from the media. The media has a way of trying to tell everyone what's okay and what's not okay. And that's one of the reasons why there's a lot more crackdowns on social media and a lot of crackdowns on what regular people can say to each other without getting banned because they want to be the only one sending the message. And I think we get to a point where we're never going to get to a point where pedophilia is going to be acceptable. In fact, I feel like we're going the other way.
It's already acceptable.
I feel like
she just gave us an example.
I feel like we're going the other way right now. I feel like we're finally increasingly getting to the point where it's unacceptable because I remember when it used to be in the music. Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison. You know that line. Backstage, underage, adolescent.
Yeah.
That shit was just on the radio, you know? Yeah. I can tell you some
shit. Now they talking about giving her a pill. Giving her a pill and she don't know what's going on. And I can do shit. That's even worse.
Okay, but we're still talking about underage kids and all that stuff. I mean, it was almost acceptable back then. And now I think there's a lot more outrage. There's a lot more people that are fighting it. And that's why I don't think it's going to be normalized.
The people like me who have already lived a situation, and now we're getting more vocal.
But here's what people fronting, man. They're saying one thing, but they're allowing it. That's the thing. They're saying this, but you got to look at what's really going on. Did you think?
I don't think you're never going to get rid of it. It's never going to go away.
I was going to say I was going to go with what you were saying. There's a contradiction because the loudest group is the liberal group. They're the loudest, and the thing is that same community will be all against and I am too in that regard, but they're all against the sexual harassment, the sexual pedophilia, all that, which is great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're all about women liberations and let us show our titties out in public. It's like, in other words, I get it.
No, I get what you're saying.
And I'd love to hear your opinion.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It's like there should be less of these things happening, but it's okay for a 13-year-old girl to wear a bikini on a beach or look somewhere. Not necessarily that's necessarily bad, but anywhere, like at Walmart. Yeah. Protect your child first. Oh, good. Yeah.
For me, knowing already the experience that I've already went through, I'm against the girls, going into Walmart, got some sort of bikini on, and they're not dressed properly. I'm totally against all that. Mm-hmm, but I'm also
that's on the parent.
Liberal it can be on the parent, but what can you do? Because
about what
as a parent, you can try to groom them or tell them, hey, you shouldn't be dressing this way because
change clothes. And then
they'll leave. They have their own opinion. They have their own ideas of what they're going to do and how they're going to dress,
right?
And what they're going to be.
But who's buying their clothes?
Exactly.
They
who's
are.
Buying them? They're not. They're not.
They're buying their own clothes.
They are.
But then how are you letting them come home with them?
Where are they getting the money? Where's
what the problem is?
15-year-old getting the money from?
Where are they getting the money? And then also, why can't we make them mind? Why can't you smack them in the face anymore?
Yeah, they got to be in more control.
That is true.
That's the problem.
The parents are losing control.
There's no accountability. We can't parent. I guarantee you, if it was me, my ex-wife is a good mom. Sarah's great. You know Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
She's a good mom.
She is.
If our daughter came home half naked, she don't give a fuck about laws. She was smacked her ass from here to Sunday.
I agree.
Right.
And that's why she never did it.
Yeah,
that's another thing too. We have to be more responsible with who we have children with, because a lot, and this is on men and women.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, like what you said earlier, JB.
Yeah.
They just want to fuck, and I think the just fucking is not the issue. It's that they make babies with the people. Like if you know that you don't want to be with this man, or this man knows that he doesn't want to be with you, don't make the children. I think that's more the issue. And when you make the children, then the guy leaves, and now you have this issue. And a lot of the women, you can't watch your daughter 100% when you got to work, and you can't. It's no fucking way. You get out work at 5:00. You're trying to pay the bills.
Right.
She gets out of school at 3:00. She has to walk home from the bus to this.
Yeah.
Now, true, given the grown man shouldn't be looking at her out the window or whatever. He's the fucked up person. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is the mother can't watch the daughter. She can make sure she calls her when she gets in the house. She can try to have cameras around the house.
Right.
But when she's walking home and the guy comes up to her and talks to her or offers her something, you can't be there. And I think all of that, that's why I said,
that's why y'all think y'all can control every child. You can't. Exactly, you can't.
But what I'm saying is where all of this stuff starts, and it's a trickle. It all feeds off of each other. Right. Because like he said, the guy just wants to fuck when he sees you dressed in a certain way. Everything kind of trickles, and I think what's happened now is it's gotten so fucking bad. You look at a volcano when you see it erupt, and the lava goes everywhere. I don't know the whole exact, but that takes like 100 years for that volcano, to build up till it goes.
Right.
Yeah. People don't see that until they see that.
It doesn't necessarily matter how the girl dresses too, though.
I know,
what Jeremy said.
Right. You're saying
because I wore jeans and t-shirts back then. When I was 16.
I didn't say how she dresses. I was talking about the just wanting to fuck. I'm just saying how it all leads up to these type of things.
The problem is that if a woman if a young lady dresses the same way or has the same expectation she can wear what an adult woman can wear, I think that's fallacy. That's stupid.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying that that it's all a trickle down effect. You get what I'm saying?
No,
and we don't see the volcano brewing up. We see it when it explodes.
Right.
And what you see in 2024, or really for the last, I don't know how many years, you're seeing that explosion. But when everything, when it was brewing up, nobody was paying attention. When that little girl, when she was a little kid and she was shaking her butt dancing, somebody said, "Oh, that's cute."
Oh, I know.
And they clapped for her because she was little and it was cute.
Yeah.
And now you're wondering why she's doing this.
Why she's doing it.
When that guy who was raised without a father and his mother was spoiling him and his dad wasn't in his life and he learned to be lazy and he learned to be sorry.
Exactly.
Now he's dating your daughter.
Right.
The daughter who didn't have the father, she's like certain things that he does.
Right.
It's that 80-20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's doing that 20%.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And it's causing all it, and it's gotten so bad that I'm going to tell you, since y'all brought up religion earlier, it's what's going to happen. The world has to be destroyed. Everybody's going to have to be knocked off and they're going to have to start over because it's so fucked up now. You cannot fix it. And to think that you can, only thing you can do is you can try to control your house, and what your surroundings. But you can't even control that because your children are where for 8 hours a day?
School.
They're at fucking school 8 hours a day. You don't know what the fuck is going on there. Even if you're at work.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Then you get home from work at 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
The kids go to bed, let's say 10 o'clock.
Right.
So you're with them for 4 hours a day. Let's just say.
Yeah.
In that 4 hours, we're on our phones. We're watching TV. They're this. Mm-hmm. The kids are being raised by everything else. So whatever they're being influenced by is what they're more likely to do. And it could be child molesters. It could be sex. Yeah. It could be all of these things. Where is the solution? I say there is none.
Hey, have you guys, good. Have you guys seen, back in the day, Dateline To Catch a Predator? Do you guys remember that TV show?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And something like that.
Yep. Chris Hansen.
Yeah, Chris Hansen. It was the internet.
Oh, yeah. Where they would act like a kid and.
Yeah, they'd have a person pretend to be a 13-year-old, and they would just go into the different chat rooms, and lo and behold, it would always be some horny-ass dude be like, "Hey, what's up? Mm-hmm. Have you ever had sex before?"
Yeah, you didn't watch the damn show.
And yeah,
it's actually intriguing.
It's so crazy because every time it's so easy. It's like there's so many of these guys out there, and they would get them to come over to the house. And they would meet the girl or whatever. And the girl's like, "Okay, well, I'm going to go in the room and freshen up and then we can get started." And then old Chris Hansen comes out, "Hey, won't you come have a seat for a minute?" Mm-hmm. And he would start talking to him like, "Hey, how do you feel about what you just did?" And it's like, "Hey, you're free to go." And I remember in the later seasons, at the very beginning, they're like, "Okay, I'm leaving." And then as soon as they step outside the house, they get jumped by the cops, like right at the doorstep. Yeah. But then after a few years, I think they started catching on. They're like, "Oh, well, I know what happens when I go outside." And there were a couple of guys that refused to go out and whatnot. And maybe that's the reason why that show's not on anymore, is because the pedophiles caught on.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say.
It's nuts that there were so many of them. Mm-hmm. It was so easy to catch these guys. And I think that's what scares a lot of people too, is that realization that they're really everywhere.
How did they meet them?
Yeah.
The internet.
Exactly.
But
hold on. It's the accessibility. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's the accessibility of all the shit online that is, and it is hard to control. You know, it really is. And I'm not saying you can, but a lot of the forums that those kids were talking into, that most of those were adult forums. And that's why a lot. Yeah, they were.
They were just regular chat rooms.
No, but I'm telling you, that's why a lot of them got out of it. A lot of them that got in trouble also got out of it because they felt like it was, coercement, because and I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just telling you how they got out of it. A lot of them got out of it. Not all of them. Mm-hmm. Because they're in these what they consider adult chat rooms, these areas on the internet where it's mainly housed by adults. And then the kids would pop in, and then all suddenly the plants would get online and find the few or communicate with the guys.
It's kind of like, and now you're really communicating with an adult anyway.
Right.
You just talking, which could be some type of something they're into.
That's the problem.
Like role play or something. That's how they got out of it.
And it wasn't the adults predominantly that were in the youthful chat rooms. It was the wannabe, or not, what do you call it? The made up youth in the adult chat rooms.
Right.
Which makes a good point. In other words, how do we prevent our youth from accessing these adult communications as young people, and also the pornography? There has to be some sort of governance and ban. It's almost virtually impossible to do it across the board.
It is impossible,
but it supports the theory, though.
Right,
it does.
And it, like I was trying to say earlier when I was talking about the mother at work.
Yeah.
It's nothing you can do to stop it, because I come from a different community than you all before I've even met them. Yeah. And what I'm saying is, even I deliver mail and I see it. It's not the internet. It's the man around the corner. Like I said, if your daughter's walking from the bus, it has nothing to do with how she's dressed. There's just a pervert there. He knows that the mom's not at the house all the time. And over time of talking to her, when she gets out of school, giving her soda, giving her candy, hey, you want to come in? It happens.
And pedophilia is always going to be, it's always going to be evergreen.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have to also, I think you can prevent more of it by policing some of the accessibilities.
Of course.
That's why it's so much more.
That's on that major type of stuff.
What if it's a family member?
There
What
you
if
go.
it's a dad?
There you go.
What if it's a dad?
The dad.
What if it's a dad?
Yeah.
What's your question, though?
What if it's a dad?
To prevent it. What if it's a dad? What if it's your dad?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's what
how are you going to police that?
I just said. It's always going to be evergreen. But earlier, what we talked about in the show was, why is there so much more of it now? Why are we talking now? Because the accessibility of it.
And notice what I said in the beginning.
And like I said
it's
not
more now.
But is there more?
Yeah. You hear about it more.
You're just able to actually find the people that are like you.
There's more now because there's more people.
I mean,
well, they can find each other now. That's the thing. They can find each other now.
But
they can find each other now. There's more connectability now. There's more of the kids being able to access adults more.
I believe it's more wanted, like where the young child wants to do it. It's more of that, but it's not more, because like I said, it was going on back then. A lot of people just didn't know it. It was happening in houses.
It is more.
I've known a lot of family members who
percentage-wise, it was more
their dad or their uncle.
Right. But in certain communities, people don't know this. So to them, it's not happening. Like in your house.
Even in the good communities.
I'm not saying communities. I mean certain houses.
I'm not saying it.
Families.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it hasn't always happened. I'm not saying it's ever going to. It happens more now for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more accessibility to it. People can communicate easier. There's a lot more digital communication. The whole show that we just talked about was all about meeting people online. That wouldn't have happened fucking 30, 40 years ago.
But what I'm saying is, and I understand you're saying that, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it was happening more in homes, but people didn't know about it back then.
Yeah, people didn't know about it.
Now more people know. I'm talking about the shit that has nothing to do with the internet. I'm talking about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I learned this from dating, because in my household, in my family, I never really knew of this. I've talked to my sister. It never happened to her, as far as she says. Yeah. But then when I started dating women and you start hearing stories, that's when I realized how much it happened. You get what I'm saying? We can never say if it was more then or more now. We say our opinion because we don't know all the cases. Right. You know how many women were, that's why I said there were more cases then that were not talked about. Exactly, you know how many girls were getting molested by their dad, their uncle, and their mom told them to shut up and don't say anything? Right. You know how many times people say what goes on in this house stays in this house? Yes. And it was happening at an alarming rate. Now it's happening more, between the internet. Yes, because of accessibility. But I consider that people who want it. I consider that a hot little 16-year-old that wants to go meet a grown man. But I'm talking about the little girl that's at home that when she gets out of school and she's home with her brother, she's home with her cousins because that's where she has to go. Grandmama's at work and granddaddy's there. I'm talking about those type of cases.
You're talking about the household. You're trying to say at the household, you think
I think there were more cases back then.
That's what you're trying to say.
In
the household, I think there's more cases back then as well.
I think there's more cases now that you know about, but I think there was more cases then that we didn't know about or that were not being talked about.
Definitely.
So it's bigger now because it's being talked about.
Like you say, later on you hear about it. Yeah,
it wasn't being. Nobody was saying shit. It was okay. It was okay for a young girl to date an older man for back then. Now people are shedding light on it, so people are like, you have to decide. But I say we can't prove what was more because we don't know every case. So everything we're saying is our opinion. I'm just saying from the beginning, actually, there was more cases back then.
The way you just put it, I actually agreed with you. I think as far as at the house back in the old days, this isn't an opinion, it's a fact.
I said it from the jump.
Back in the old days, I'm talking about I said pedophilia is more now. I think pedophilia today is more.
I mean, that's your opinion, Jay. Every time you say
something, I'm just trying to
fine, bro. I just don't agree with you.
I'm not asking you to.
I know. So, but you keep. I agree with you. That's the way you feel.
Yeah, I'm just trying to finish my point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Do you think it's because there's more people in the world now?
What I'm trying to say.
That's what he said.
100%. There's more people now, and more shit's going to happen.
Right.
Again, that's common sense. If you don't agree with that, I don't know what to tell you. There's more people.
No. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's more people in the world.
More people, yeah.
And more people in the world, and even in this country, are going to create more shit.
Exactly,
so it's going to happen more than it ever did. However,
I
agree with your point, Jab, 100%. I think back in the old days, women were taught to not say shit when those things happened.
Right.
Guys too, because they have little boys.
No, I agree with that.
In general, we're taught.
I agree with that point 100% of what you guys said. I think there was a lot more sweeping under the rug back in the old days, and it happened a lot more often.
I feel the same way
today.
you feel about me. I don't care if you agree or not. I'm still saying it. Like, you're coming
I don't care if you agree or not.
I know that's what you said a second ago.
I don't care if you agree either.
I know. So that's what I'm saying.
I think y'all agree.
No, what I'm saying, when you come back and say you agree,
I just want to be able to round the point. I just want to get it all out. That's all I want to do. I just want to be able to get it out.
Everybody's getting their own point out here.
That's it. Without interruption. Just here's the point. Now let's hear you. And then let's hear you. And then let's hear you. That's what I'm trying to work out. The diplomacy of communication.
Yeah. I just think that that we're going to see more of it now because of the internet. So that's what's going to happen.
You're going to be more aware of it.
Right.
Be more aware of it.
But I think there's a lot. I think it's been acceptable forever. And I think now people are trying to fight stuff because of the attention. It's just like, sounds like the right thing to do. But I think behind closed doors, people aren't really having a problem with this stuff. I'm basing off like situations like yours.
No,
like you say the mother can, so they're justifying it in certain situations.
And I'm not saying that it's justified.
Yeah. No,
it's just a situation that happened.
Right. But it's happening a lot. Like, there's a lot. Didn't you say that if the parent okays it, then it can be okay?
Yeah, it can.
That's
with the school.
Yeah.
That's the way it was back then.
Right. I'm not debating if it's right or wrong, like if that's true or not. I'm going to say you're right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if the parent can, then that's one way of saying that they're justifying it. They're saying it's okay. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And then,
and I think it may be
or if it's right, it's right. I mean, as far as legal. I mean, let's say legal, not right saying, or wrong.
Well, legally.
Yeah.
But I mean, and sometimes it's that the parent may not know what else to do.
Right. I give you that too.
About the situation. So
I get that. I'm just saying, in my opinion, that if it's wrong, we can't allow it. We can't say it's okay if, like, okay, the parent didn't say this was okay, so you're going to get locked up. But here, the mom gave permission, so it's okay. If it's 16 and it's 16 and it's 25 and it's 25, it's pedophilia over here. It's pedophilia over here. The only difference is you have a mom saying it's okay. I think. Right. I think I'm hearing it. Yeah. Okay. That's the same thing if it's the uncle or the dad.
Right.
You have a mom saying, hey, we keep this between us. This stuff happens. Hey, just deal with it.
Right. Yeah.
This mom says, I'm calling the police.
Yeah.
Both situations are still wrong.
Right.
And what I'm saying is that some people, not everybody, they're acting like it's wrong, but they're allowing it in certain situations. And I think that's the problem. Once we say it's okay here, then it's okay everywhere to the people that want to do it. I think that's what I'm saying.
No, I get your point. I get what you're saying.
We have to stand up if we're going to be
against it. Because I know for
it.
me now, knowing and older and more wiser, I wouldn't allow that.
I'm not even judging it if it's right or wrong. I'm saying that if it is, we have to stay on one side or the other.
Right.
If we want, that's the first step, or not the first step, but that's one of the steps to dealing with it. Is that we have to treat it all the same. We can't allow it in some situations.
Then you have to make an opinion. Then you have to have an opinion.
But then that wouldn't be America, and you wouldn't have freedom.
What I'm saying is it would have to be a law. I'm saying if it's a law. If it's a law.
But here's what
and
happens.
we're not. It's not like we're.
See, that's so much gray area right there. That whole statement. Is so much gray area. I think it is wrong. I think it's wrong if an underage person gets with an overage person dramatically, maybe without a 2-year difference or something.
Yeah.
Because young people don't know what the fuck they're doing. Older people start to know.
Exactly.
And I think, me personally, I think it's wrong. Now, here's the problem. If I think it's wrong, but 3 other people don't, then, okay, then I guess by majority, because this is America, then we can let underage people date older age people.
Yeah, you're right. I see what you're saying.
That's my point.
But what I'm saying, when I say right or wrong, Okay, sometimes when we use the words, we say right or wrong. What I mean is legal or illegal.
I'm talking about legal. That's perfectly fine.
Okay, let me go back and rephrase it. Legal or illegal. What I'm saying is, if it's illegal for it, because we know right or wrong is always going to be, like you said, gray area.
Oh, yeah.
We all have a different opinion about right and wrong. Yeah. I'm saying that if it's illegal, because that's what we're talking about, the law.
Yeah. The law.
We can't allow it in certain situations. If it's illegal for a 16-year-old, we can't say, well, it's okay if the mom says it's okay. Because who the fuck is the mom? The mom might be fucked up.
Yeah.
The mom might be on drugs. The mom might not. She might just be tired of dealing with this motherfucker.
She may just not know what to do with the situation.
Any of those things, they all count.
I mean, I fucking totally agree with
that's why we have laws. So,
because she didn't know what to do.
Yeah, the moment we start bending the laws is the moment that things become okay.
Your mom let it happen. The underage the relationship you had.
Yeah.
How does she feel about it now?
I mean, she
Is that too sensitive of a question?
I don't really. We hadn't talked about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It happened.
But at the time, she didn't. I mean, I'm sure she didn't know what to do. She was a single mom. She worked nights. She had a lot on her plate. And
do you wish she would have told you no?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what's the guy like now? What's the guy like now?
I don't know if I want to go into detail.
No, I don't want to know. Is he a good guy?
Did y'all have children or anything like that? Or get married or anything?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
I ended up having a daughter, but yeah, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't say
we may not talk about it. He might come up here and kick somebody's ass.
I don't want to go into
this pen fucking turns lethal.
Okay. Absolutely.
I know about him. He knows about me. So.
Yeah, I ain't trying to get into the personal. I just mean in general situations.
Yeah.
We have to we just have to follow the law if that's the law, I think. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah. And if far as right or wrong, shit, I don't even say. I can just say what's right for me.
The law is skewed.
I can just say what's right for me. I really can't say these days what's right. That's why I tell everybody, y'all do what y'all want. I'm different than a lot of people.
Yeah.
They want to do this, that's fine. They're not wrong, but they can't do it in my house. Yeah. Or I'm not going to do it. That's kind of how we got to be with right and wrong.
Right.
But with the law.
Well, I think you also develop
it's different.
Through your experiences, you develop your own, what you feel is right and wrong.
Mm-hmm. Like selling drugs. It's illegal.
Yeah.
We know it's illegal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some people don't think it's wrong. Get what I'm saying?
But if they get caught, they're going to jail. Not that I'm trying to contradict anything, but who made it illegal?
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I just said.
Not that I'm trying to cause,
I'm with you on that. I agree with you because I don't.
But because I have my own thoughts of what I think is right or what I think is wrong.
That's what I said. I don't think it's right. I think people, they sell drugs everywhere, so who cares? But the thing is, what I'm saying is we know that it's illegal, whether we think it's right or wrong. And that's what I'm saying about the pedophilia.
Because somebody mandated it.
Right. So are we going to follow the law or are we not going to follow the laws because we don't think they're right or wrong? Right. And that's what I'm saying. If the law is made 18, because in some countries, girls 13. There's 13-year-old. I actually think that people should be allowed to do things younger. I think it slows us. I'm not saying sex or whatever, that's what I want. But I mean, in general, I think a lot of smart kids, they drop out of school because at 13, you know everything you need to know. There's countries where kids are millionaires and starting businesses at 13.
Oh yeah.
I think we limit us all the time by keeping us in classrooms for all those extra years to learn some shit that you could have really taught us a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we can go out into the world where our mind is creative.
Yeah.
And we can be creative. And I'm not saying it for the sexual part, but I'm just saying that the age thing is based on the country.
There's a lot of times where I say, I wish I knew some of this stuff back when I was younger.
But I do, like in the 7th grade, I think I was well enough where I could have graduated and we could have went ahead and started.
Yeah.
In those 5 years, think about what we could have done while we're just sitting in a boring ass classroom. Yeah. The shit was easy as fuck. And just sitting here.
There's a lot of times where I wish I was more educated.
The thing about school that you don't get now, that I think the reason it's okay to go to school, even if you're that kid, I was the same kid. I know that kid. But what I would have gotten out of school, I did go to school. Back in our day, it was starting to fade out. But we still had this, was respect for authority, leadership, how to handle social situations, how to be in certain situations is an education more than what you write down on a piece of paper. And I think today, and that's a whole other show topic. I know we can get this forever. Yeah. But today I feel like that authority, that leadership has been taken away from teachers. And the problem is now it's like it's dwindled out. You don't really get that anymore.
Yeah,
no, fuck. And then
it's all about test scores and money.
Exactly. Yeah.
And all of this stuff goes together. They're grooming the kids for whatever this country and world wants to do. That's what they're grooming them for. These kids aren't going to have social skills. They're going to be able to be manipulated. It all goes together. There's more likely that a child without these communication skills will wind up in these situations because everybody's being taught more just to pass a test. That's it. They don't really know the information just as long as you pass the test.
Right, exactly. That's the whole key right now.
I'm a Mason. You know how many verses and things I had to memorize to become a Mason? And I said them that day, but I couldn't say them today, which means I don't really know them. I just memorized them to take a test.
But you probably got out of that a leadership connection that carries with you.
Yeah, of course. But that's a whole. But I'm talking about the fact that
I got you.
How we can pass certain tests, but not actually learn the information. When you learn something, you know it.
Yeah.
Like I read it 5 times last night. I got up tomorrow and said it right.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what's happening. And all of this stuff, I think, ties into the same exact thing that kids are not going to be adults. They're not going to have the proper skills, which is why a lot of older men that mess with younger girls, a lot of the guys that mess with young girls, they couldn't get the girls their age. They weren't, their mentality wasn't on that level.
Yeah. No, my daughter says, why don't they teach us these other things in school?
Like life skills.
Yeah, like life skills.
I
guess they're just leaving it up to the parents.
Because they're not allowed to.
They're not, some things are not allowed because of religion, culture. Like you can't teach this.
Yeah, you can't teach it.
And then the parents are supposed to. But a lot of parents these days, like I said, with the mother not being in the home with the father, makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
We know it does. The person, first of all, you have 2 separate bills, 2 rents, 2 mortgages.
Yeah.
You would have had 1, so that's more money, but you have to work more. Somebody's not home. I always had somebody home at my house until maybe a certain age. But when I was young, even when my parents were scheduled, somebody was at home.
Do you think it makes a difference
Hell yeah, it makes a difference.
Like, both parents in the house versus single mom, single dad?
Yes, it makes a difference.
Oh, yeah, that absolutely makes a difference.
And today's time, with the prices of things, like more people have to work and work more and they're home less. So from the food they're eating, from the microwave stuff, the fast food, it's all, I think, affecting people's mentality and how they are, the ability to learn. Sex drives too. Yeah. I think, and the kids are being raised. Like I was even guilty of it.
They get to sit home and have access to porn.
I was home. I was a good father as far as being at home.
That's what they have.
Yeah, but that child's in the room and you're in the living room. You're on Facebook.
Look what they're doing. Look what they have access to now that we even didn't.
Right.
When they're by themselves, think about it. The entire world they could communicate with.
I'm going to tell you something else.
What do you think, Mike?
The door being closed.
Oh yeah, they used to.
The door. Man, we never kept a door closed in my house. What the hell?
Yeah, that was a big deal back in my day too.
My daughter didn't get to do that.
Keeping the door closed. Well, hey y'all. I think one of the big points that you guys really hit on here is selective enforcement. I think that's a big issue. Yeah. I think it was an issue back then. It's a issue today that we care about it, but only in certain situations.
Right.
But I don't know, man. We'll have to hit that one again at some point because there's a lot that we didn't make it to today. Anyways, man, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you feel so inclined, join our Patreon. We would love that. And until next time, we'll see you.
See ya.
Bye.
The Gen X Talk podcast was brought to you by some real ass OGs. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and always remember to wash your ass. Bye-bye.